and welcome back to my channel. I hope that this video finds you well. Thank you so much for all of the feedback and comments that I got and the likes on my last videos about my vitamin B12 and vitamin D deficiencies and my burnout and what I'm going through. And it is so relieving to hear that other people are experiencing this too, but at the same time, I'm sorry that you're experiencing this. A lot of people are just finding my video, even though it was I think I did the first one 5 months ago. It was in April when I found out that I was B12 and D deficient. Anyway, so this is going to be an update video. If you find any of my videos helpful or useful, or if you're going through the same thing, if you're recovering from burnout, or you feel like you're burning out, or you've been under a lot of stress, or you've been struggling. If you have vitamin D and vitamin B12 deficiencies, please subscribe to my channel so you can get updates of when I put out updates, and please like this video if it helps you. I know you're supposed to do a whole big spiel in the beginning about that. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Follow me if you want to, or if you don't, whatever. I have not been consistent. Thank you for following me, and thank you for liking my videos. I want to say that. It just helps. It helps. This whole thing has been very stressful for me, and now here we are. This whole thing started in April when I found out I was deficient, and now we're in September and I'm still struggling. So I wanted to do this update video and check in and just tell you what's been going on with me. I have not been consistent. I'm very sorry. I had the intention of doing this on a regular basis, but life has just become so much, and I have not been feeling well, and it's sometimes just a struggle to do like daily life stuff, and that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm just moving my vitamins over here now. Okay, so in the last, I did do a video in July where I posted it here, and I posted it on Instagram about getting retested for my vitamin levels. But let me just back up and talk about how I've been feeling and what's been going on. So just to recap, in April, I was not feeling well. I decided to go for a physical because I haven't had one since the pandemic started, and my life had been extremely stressful, and I'm not going to get all into why, but I left a toxic relationship in like 2016 or 2017. 2015 to 2017, I was in the process of leaving this toxic relationship. It was like 2017 was when I finally left. And I've just been recovering from all of that and on a healing journey, and uncovering all of this stuff that I had lived through. Like, I've been living in survival mode all of my life. I am the scapegoat of my family. It's hard to talk about. It's hard to accept, but it just is. At this point, I'm just starting, in the past few years, starting to understand what I've lived through and my own defense mechanisms and where I've been toxic, and just dealing with the whole enchilada of life and shit. And then the pandemic happened and things became even more stressful just with that. And I've been on a slow burn, slowly burning out over time. And I didn't realize it until I was just I was so flat out exhausted, and I just attributed everything to stress. So when I went to the doctor in April and had my physical done, I insisted upon getting tested for my vitamin levels, my B12 and my vitamin D, and that's when I found out I was severely deficient. Okay, so that's the recap. I was on mega doses of vitamins, B12 injections for 6 weeks, mega doses, 50,000 IUs of vitamin D a week, on top of my daily vitamins, and also taking an additional 2,500 micrograms of a sublingual B12 during that time. So I have it written down here so I can tell you exactly what the dates were and what my numbers were. So that was on, I was tested on 4/21, and my B12 at that point was 184, and my D was at 16. And that's when I went on the mega doses of vitamins. So on June 10th, my doctor retested me, and my B12 was at 1207, which is way above, I think 1100 is the last normal number. After that, it's too high. But B12 it is stored in the liver, but it is water soluble, so you will urinate out with the B12 you don't need. Whereas vitamin D is fat soluble and it's stored in the liver. You don't pee that out. So on June 10th, I was at 1207 vitamin B. On June 10th, my vitamin D went to 71, which now my vitamin B, but the B12 was too high. The D was finally normal. I think if I remember correctly, 30 starts the normal level of vitamin D. And anything between 30 and 50 is considered insufficient. Less than 30 is deficient. And anything above 50 to, I forgot the number that's, no, let me see if I could just look it up real quick. Anyway, so my vitamin D was normal. I'm looking it up. You could Google it, but I just wanted to be able to tell you. Optimal is 40 to 80, it says here, but I don't know what this is. So I guess if it's too high, I'm sorry, I should have done this before. $30 to $50 is insufficient. Sorry. 30 to 50 is insufficient. 50 to 70 is optimal. This is for vitamin D. 50 to 70 is optimal. 70 to 100 is on the high end, and anything over 100, high end of normal, and anything over 100 is too much. It's an excess. It's just now crooked. Okay. So I was at 71, which would put me in an okay area, right? So I was, and my symptoms had abated. I was no longer extremely fatigued. I was feeling good. I was feeling energized. I felt like my body was not hurting. My hair started to get thicker. It seemed like all of these symptoms that I was having, the joint pain, the brain fog, I was slowly starting to feel like myself again. The digestive issues the digestive symptoms that I was having, they kind of went away, and I was doing good. And I even noticed when I was working out that my body was like stronger. I felt like my muscles felt stronger. My bones felt stronger. I just felt good. I felt like myself again. So the doctor was like, okay, we can stop the B12 injections and just take your, she wanted me to just take the 2,500 micrograms still. And she stopped the super doses of vitamin D, the 50,000 milligrams. We stopped that. And I was just taking my multivitamin, which this is CVS, organic, women's. And it has, I think it's 16, it says 40 micrograms, but I think that comes out to 1,600 milligrams of, 1,600 IUs of vitamin D. So when I told her that, she said, your daily vitamins should be fine. So that's what I was on. Now, I stopped taking after a week or so, I stopped taking I break these, this is the vitamin B12 that I take. Okay. This is 5,000. I just break the tablet in half because they didn't have the 2,500 micrograms as a whole pill. So I just break it in half. I stopped taking this for a few weeks. And what happened was, because it was so high, I was afraid, even though the doctor told me to take this, I didn't want to take it because I was on the way too high, So after a few weeks, this was June 10th, after a few weeks, I started to feel that overwhelming fatigue again. And I don't know how to explain it except to say that it feels like I am I'm walking through sand. It feels like I'm pushing against a wall, and it's just very difficult to do things. And so I told my doctor this. I explained to her that I had stopped taking this, and I said, should I just start taking the high dose of vitamin D again? Should I start the B12 sublinguals again? And she's like, no, you know what? I think you should come in and get retested. So I did. I came in. I went in to get retested. That was on July 28th. And she had told me, it would be really weird and unusual for your vitamin levels to drop that much in such a short time. But let's check you again because you're having these symptoms. So she checked me, and it came back that my B12 fell on 7/28. My B12 levels were 660, which is still normal. Okay. Right? B12, I think under 300. She was concerned that it fell so much. But so I'm sorry. I just want to give you guys the right numbers. Greater than 350 is adequate. Okay. Greater than 500 is normal. 200 to 1,000 is normal. 200 to, I think it's 200 to 1,100 is normal. Please don't, I'm not a doctor, and I just want to put a disclaimer in here that although I am a licensed medical massage therapist, this has nothing to do with my career. This is my personal journey. This is what I have experienced. Please check with your doctor. Whatever I'm talking about in here is not medical advice. It's just what I've experienced on my journey, and you have to do your due diligence and be an advocate for yourself, for your own health care. I'm just sharing what I've experienced because I want to document this and hopefully, maybe help others who are struggling. But certainly this is not meant to be medical advice. Okay. I just want to put that out there. You can look up what the numbers are yourself, but I just wanted to put it in here. So mine dropped to 660 just within a few weeks, and my D dropped to 58. So now I'm back in the D insufficient, not deficient yet, but I'm in the D insufficient. Or maybe I'm just I'm still normal, but my D clearly is not, there's an issue there. So my doctor now has me on my multivitamin. I am now taking an additional 2,000 IUs on top of the 1,600 that are in here. So I'm at 3,600 IUs daily. And I like this brand, Nature's Truth, because it doesn't have the additional calcium in here that some D3 has. And I like that because I also have a history of kidney stones. And sometimes when you're taking high doses of calcium, you can create more kidney stones in your body, and I certainly don't need any more issues. So that's that. I take an additional 2,000 IUs a day. I am also back on the 2,500 micrograms of B12. So that's where I'm at. In the past few weeks, I have been under a considerable more amounts of stress with my family. There are family things going on. Like I said, I am the scapegoat. I am relearning and trying to, deprogram myself and heal the generational trauma in my family. But I do live with my mother and my sister, and it's very difficult. And I'm working on becoming financially independent. Again, that's its own stressor, and getting back out on my own. In the meantime, things have been stressful. There's a family wedding coming up. I've been triggered left and right, and I'm sure that this is not helping my vitamin levels, because as I have learned that B12 is important for it. Your B12 levels get depleted during stressful events and during stress. Stress depletes your B12. Does it deplete your vitamin D? I'm not sure. There was a study done about that. I'll bring that up next time. I just want to get this video done because, anyway, it's been taking me a long time to do it. The symptoms I'm having now, the past few weeks, I've been extremely fatigued. And when I say like tired and fatigued, I mean like getting up out of bed is hard. And wanting to, like, it's not even wanting to do stuff. It's like I know I have things to do. It's just that I feel like I'm dragging through my days. The fatigue is extreme. I still am having like mental fog. Sometimes it's hard for me to find the right word, things like that, like cognitive stuff. Anxiety, really not that much. I was having that back in April. I was having a lot of anxiety, but not anymore. That was probably related to the B12 too, because it can be, just so you know. Depression and anxiety and can be related to B12 and vitamin D deficiencies. B12 is important for the nervous system, and it can cause mental health imbalances, disturbances, and it just messes with your brain. So that's why it's very important. That's why I just want to be an advocate for this, because if I didn't request these things myself, I'm not sure. I mean, I have a very good doctor. I think she would have tested me anyways, but I have really had to be on top of this. And like I said, I feel like I did burn out. But now what's happening is, on top of, somebody had asked me in the comments, do I feel extra hungry? Not really. I don't feel extra hungry. I'm not sure if that's a symptom of a vitamin deficiency or not, but I would definitely check with your doctor about that. I'm feeling very bloated. I've noticed that the bloating is very extreme. I look like I'm pregnant sometimes. It's just very bad. But I also have endometriosis, and so I do experiencing a lot of bloating with that around the time of my ovulation and around the time of my period. During my period, sometimes for even a week after my period, my menses start, I can feel and look very bloated and swollen from the endometriosis alone. But I've noticed that outside of those times, I am also bloated, and I'm feeling, I gained some weight during the pandemic, so I've been working on getting healthy. Clearly, with all of the things that are happening with my body, self-care has been very important, has become a priority. It's like I can't put it off anymore. I can't take care of myself later. I mean, my body is saying to me, is giving me signals that I need to really take care of myself. And so I've been trying my very best to do that. And part of that is working out and getting exercise. And I have found that the exercise is really helping me mentally, just to get just the disciplining myself and moving my body is helping my mental health. So that's something, if you're struggling with, I would really recommend. But of course, always talk to your doctor first. I've just been doing that. So I've been riding my bike and getting outside more often. That helps too with the D deficiency, getting sun. And but I've always gotten sun, so I don't even know how I became deficient, which is the issue. Now I'm having this bloating, and I've been watching my I use this app called the chronometer, and it helps. It's free, and it helps track my food intake, and it gives me all of the here we go with the, what is that? I'm gonna have to look it up. This is what I mean. Sometimes the brain fog is real and I can't remember the word that I want. Macros. That's it. It helps me track my macros and my nutrition. And what I love about it, it's chronometer, CRONOMETER. I highly recommend it because it tells you how much vitamins you're intaking with your food. And it's kind of like you can put in, it has a lot of like different like brand name foods. It's already in there. It's like almost like a Weight Watchers, but not a Weight Watchers, but it's tracking your vitamin intake and your calories and your macros. So I've been using that, and it's been helping me see how much folate I'm eating, how much vitamin D I'm eating, because of course the best way to get your vitamins is through your nutrition. So that's been helpful. I highly recommend that. And it's been showing me as far as getting fit and healthy, it's helping me to see how much I'm eating and the calories and how much I'm burning. So that's been helpful. But what I've noticed is I'm trying to make sure I'm thoroughly chewing my food, and I've noticed that I get full really fast, and that's kind of weird because I could just take a few bites of pasta or just take a few bites of salad and I'm immediately full, and that's a new symptom. So I'm immediately full, and the bloating is just extreme. I can start bloating out of nowhere. Even if I haven't eaten anything, my belly will just start like bloat, like really bloat, and it's uncomfortable. So I ended up going just recently to the gastroenterologist. My doctor in April had sent me because at that time, I'm sorry if this is all over the place. Back in April, me and my mom and my sister that I live with, we had just gotten over this like stomach bug, and I had mentioned that in one of my videos, and I had told my doctor about it, and then I was tested, for for my blood work, the B12 and the D. And at the same time, she gave me a stool test to go get tested for like some parasites. I was tested. I'll tell you what I was tested for. I was tested for C. diff. I wrote it down so I would remember. C. diff, Salmonella and Shigella, Campylobacter, and Shiga, SHIGA toxins. That's what I was tested for. But I didn't take the test because as soon as I started getting the vitamins, all of those gastrointestinal symptoms kind of went away. So I figured it wasn't any of those. But now that everything started again, I actually went last week or the week before. I did the test. I knew I was going to the gastroenterologist, and I wanted I took those tests so that he wouldn't have to retest me for any of that stuff. All of it came back negative. So, and then also, I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous video, but I was tested for the intrinsic factor. That's negative. So I do have, that's normal. So I went to the gastroenterologist, and I gave my history. I brought all of the blood work with me and showed it to them. And the doctor was in with me. The PA took a very thorough medical history with me. And then the doctor came in, and he was with me for like 2 seconds. And he's like, okay, you have a B12 deficiency. I want an endoscopy and I want a colonoscopy. And I'm like, well, aren't there things that you could do that are less invasive than that first? Wouldn't any kind of blood work or other testing be done that could be helpful before something so invasive? And he's like, you don't want the test? And I'm like, well, he's like, well, it's a 10-minute test. A person your age, I'm 46. He's like, a person your age should not have a B12 deficiency. It's not normal, and there's something wrong, and we have to figure out what it is. So I just took it like that. And I'm like, well, do you think I should be tested for H. pylori? And he's like, well, that's what I'm going to do during the endoscopy. So I scheduled the endoscopy. And when I was there, I asked for a full vitamin panel and a mineral panel, blood work to be done, because I wanted to see all of my vitamins and minerals. And I got some pushback. He's like, we'll test that after the endoscopy. So he walked out, and then when the assistant came in, I had asked her about that blood work, and she said, well, I'll have to ask him. And then it was like, oh, we can retest your B's and D's. I'm like, no, I insisted upon being tested for all of my vitamins. I told them I want all my vitamins and minerals tested regardless of what happens with the B12. I want to know where I stand with all of my vitamins. I had to ask and explain it like 5 times. So if I were you and you want to be tested for that, please insist upon it. I finally got the prescription for it, and I was tested today. I went in today for that. It was an antioxidant panel, a mineral panel, and a full B panel. So I'll find out all of my B levels. And then I actually, after all of that, the next day after my appointment, I called and I left a message. I wanted to speak to somebody because nobody explained to me what I would be experiencing during an endoscopy or colonoscopy. They just scheduled me, and that was that. And nobody really examined me. So nobody explained to me what they would be looking. The doctor didn't explain what the procedure would be or how or anything like that. And I wanted to know that. So the PA called me back yesterday, and I talked to her, and she explained it to me, and she explained to me, I'm like, well, what are the risks? Because this is invasive and my body is sensitive, and I would rather take less invasive steps first than to just have this done, endoscopy. She told me he would be testing for H. pylori, that he would be doing biopsies in there to test for that, and to test for celiac disease. Because celiac disease can cause, and H. pylori can cause a B12 and D deficiency. So they want to test me for that, and he wants to see if I have any ulcers. Now, I don't believe I have ulcers. I think I would know. I eat a lot of tomato sauce. I eat spicy stuff. I use a lot of garlic. I use a lot of things acidic. I eat a lot of acidic foods. I would know if I have an ulcer. H. pylori is the primary cause of ulcers. So, I understand that. I insisted to her that I had to do the research myself. I went online. There is a test for celiac disease, a blood test. It's called TTG-IgA. It's the most sensitive test for celiac disease. It's a blood test. And then the standard test for H. pylori is called a urea breath test. And it's very accurate. So I asked to be tested for these things. And in the meantime, I also asked to be retested for my D levels. So she's like, well, if you do this, your insurance may not cover the other tests. And I'm like, I'm insisting upon it. I want, these tests could render the endoscopy, not necessary. And then all I would have to do is get the colonoscopy. Why put my body through an additional like thing if I don't have to. So that's where I'm at. Today I went in and gave my blood work was 14 vials of blood. It was all the things that I said, the antioxidant panel, the mineral panel, the B12 panel, the celiac panel, the vitamin D, and tomorrow I'm going for my urea breath test for the H. pylori. That's where I'm at. These are my symptoms. Please, if you're feeling really fatigued, like I said in my other videos, if you're feeling, this is 30 minutes. If you're feeling really fatigued, if you're feeling just not right, if you're feeling off, if you're feeling like a lot, like I said in my other videos, a lot of these things I just attributed to stress and getting older. I mean, the other thing I've been having is like this back pain. I'm peeing a lot. And the other thing is I'm going into my OBGYN at the end of the month. I need to get my like pap smear, my annual testing, but also I want to mention all of these things to her because some of these things are can be, some of my symptoms can be signs of an ovarian cancer or cervical cancer or endometrial cancer. So I want to be screened for that also. And so this is the thing. You have to be proactive in your own healthcare and really listen to your body as I'm learning. You know, it's just been a struggle. I know I've been wanting to do these videos, but now I feel, and it's been hard because my mom is not working now. People are always here. There's always a lot of noise. I just find it difficult to like sit down and I've been so tired, but I really do want to start being more consistent with this. So please subscribe. If you find any of this helpful. I'm just sharing my journey now because who knows where this will lead. And I just want to document it because you won't, like, as a licensed massage therapist, I know all about stress. I've taken, like, I know about the body and how the body works on, you know, on all levels. I had to learn all of that. I had to go through all of those health science classes in school. It's very extensive. I know how the body works. I know how stress affects the body, but to be experiencing it in lifetime is wild because I never thought that stress could like deplete my vitamins. I didn't understand what burnout really was. Of course, I've heard about it, but I understand it now. It's like you're just taxed. It's your nervous system can only take so much, you know? It's like stress, chronic stress it affects your body, and I am recovering from a burnout. I emotionally and physically and mentally just like hit my level of my body's just like, okay, it's you know, my body's telling me you're not taking care of yourself. So if you're feeling any of these symptoms that I have talked about in here and you've been under a lot of stress or you've gotten yourself out of a stressful situation, or even with work, it doesn't have to be with relationships or family or anything like that, even with your job, because that's what we hear about burnout the most with work. Burnout from other things, not just work. If you're just feeling really exhausted. Anyway, if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, please just get yourself tested. You know, it couldn't hurt, and push for the tests that you want done, because I had to with the gastroenterologist. I had to push for these tests, and it's important. If I don't know what my vitamin levels are, what if I'm low? If I'm low in D and B12, I could be low. If there's something wrong with my digestive system, I could be low in other vitamins that are that are also contributing to my symptoms. And I don't want to do that. Low vitamin D can cause heart issues, and B12 can cause if you don't treat a vitamin B12 deficiency, you could end up with like nerve damage and like other things. So it's really important. I would implore everyone to get tested. This whole pandemic, I feel, just from the pandemic alone, and the stress that has caused everybody, I wouldn't be surprised if there's just like a spike in how deficient people are in B12 and D. Anyway, I hope this helps you. Please, if you have any questions about what my journey and what I'm going through, keep asking them in the comments, because I will answer them on my next video, and I will update you guys. I will try to do it once a week. I will update next week about what my results are from these tests, and let you know like where I'm at, if that will be helpful to you, and just to share that part of my journey. Okay, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great week. Take care of yourself. Please do not put yourself on the back burner. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to take care of yourself so you don't burn out. Okay? Love you. Have a great week. Toodaloo.